All right, welcome to week 2 of Women of Virtue. This week we are just talking about how much purity is a standard that's in the Bible. And one of the things that makes it confusing to talk about what God's standard of purity is that a lot of people look at the difference between the cultural norms, the social norms, what was going on at the time, and they get hung up in these arguments about what that means. But really the thing is that God knows that there are consequences to our actions that we don't foresee, especially when we're emotionally involved. And so when you look at the scriptures about impurity or sexual accountability or things like that, you'll find some things that seem to contradict and some things that seem to advocate or allow for certain things that we don't accept, such as prostitution or things like that. However, understand that the Bible is written not as a rule book. In fact, in Isaiah 28, God talks about how we use the scriptures that to a point where it becomes meaningless, and he talks about in baby talk, sabla sav, kavla kav, a little this, a little that. And that scripture is a great example of how when we take something and just focus on you do this or you don't do that, it loses the heart of what God intended to do. God tells us that he is there for us, that he loves us, and despite our hard hearts and the actions we take that go against what his standard is, he always, in love, gives us a way out. Consider, for example, Deuteronomy 24. In Deuteronomy 24, God introduces the concept of divorce and how men are able to write a certificate of divorce if they are not pleased with their wife. Well, this is not to say, women, it's all your fault if you don't make your man happy, or to beat over our head the submissiveness that we're supposed to have towards our husband. What God does share in Matthew is he talks about how he gives us a certificate of divorce. God allowed that certificate of divorce to happen because of the hard-heartedness of our hearts. So again, remember that every example in the Bible is to kind of save us from the heartache that we put on ourselves when we focus on decisions in the improper way. So what I do in week 2 of the book is I go through every book in the New Testament. I could give examples in the Old Testament as well, but as we go through each of them, it's an example of at least one place where purity is talked about and how we are meant to uphold it, what a consequence of not being pure or having relations before marriage is, and every book in the Bible talks about it. So it is something that is important. It's not something that's harped on because it's such an obvious sin or anything like that. It just is there's a lot of emotional things connected to being pure. This is part of why the Women of Virtue course allows us to talk about more than just abstaining from sex, because it's not just about yes, you have sex or no, you don't have sex. Did you have sex before marriage or did you not have sex before marriage? Being a woman of virtue means what are your thoughts, what are your heart, what's your stance, and how you can choose God first and foremost in your life, get your self-esteem from God, and then how that translates to your relationship with other people, and especially to the relationship of a person of the opposite gender. So when you read book 2, understand again that the focus is to show there's so many ways that God talks to us and tries to share with us. I know sex and attraction are important. However, I want you to think about what is above and beyond that. So good luck and have fun with week 2.